My name is Emily Carter. I'm 34 years old, a nurse from Houston, Texas. For as long as I can remember, my life was ordinary, filled with daily routines, small joys, and the silent struggles most of us carry inside. I never imagined that a single day could change my life forever. But on March 12, 2022, everything I thought I knew about this world and the world beyond was shattered. If you're watching this, I invite you to stay with me until the end. My story is not just about what happens after death. It's a warning, a call to wake up, and a message of hope for anyone searching for meaning. Please leave your thoughts in the comments and share this video if my story speaks to your heart. It all began as a normal Saturday. I was driving home from a late shift at St. Mary's Hospital, feeling that familiar exhaustion. The rain was coming down in sheets, and the streets glistened under the city lights. I remember glancing at my phone, thinking about sending a quick text to my sister. That split second changed everything. In an instant, headlights blinded me, the screech of tires, the crushing impact, and then, nothing but silence. It's difficult to put into words what happens in those fleeting seconds between life and death. Time slows down, almost freezing. I remember the sensation of being suspended between two worlds, the pain fading, the noise of the crash dissolving into a strange, heavy quiet. I tried to move, but my body didn't respond. Panic threatened to take over, but it was as if a gentle hand rested on my shoulder, urging me to let go. My mind, desperate for something familiar, began replaying memories. I saw myself as a child, running in the sun, my mother's laughter, my father's protective embrace. All the love, the mistakes, the forgiveness, it all flashed before my eyes in a sequence so vivid it almost felt like I was living those moments again. The air around me shifted, becoming thick and warm. The colors of the world faded, replaced by a soft golden light that seemed to pour in from nowhere. My heartbeat, once frantic, slowed to a peaceful rhythm. For a moment, I wondered if this was what dying felt like. Not pain or fear, but a profound, all-encompassing peace. In that space between heartbeats, between breaths, I knew I was leaving something behind. Yet I wasn't afraid. In the silence, I realized I was not alone. As the world around me faded, I became aware of a strange, weightless sensation. It was as if I was rising, gently being pulled upward, leaving the pain and brokenness of my physical body behind. I looked down and saw the mangled wreck of my car, the flashing red and blue lights, and the paramedics rushing to the scene. I saw myself lying there, motionless, as if I were observing someone else's tragedy. But there was no fear, only curiosity and a deep, serene detachment. I floated higher, passing through the roof of my car, the hospital buildings, and finally above the city itself. The world became small, insignificant, like a distant memory fading into the horizon. Then, I felt myself being drawn into a tunnel of light. It wasn't dark or frightening. It was comforting, warm, and full of indescribable peace. Every worry, every regret, every pain I had ever carried seemed to melt away in the presence of this overwhelming love. I sensed that I was being guided, not by force, but by a gentle invitation to trust and let go. In that radiant passage, I saw images and scenes flashing all around me. Moments from my life, people I had loved, strangers I had passed on the street, times I had been kind and times I had failed. It was as if my whole existence was being shown to me, not in judgment, but as a tapestry woven with meaning, purpose, and grace. I moved toward the end of the tunnel, where the light grew brighter and warmer, until finally I emerged into a place unlike anything I had ever known. As I stepped out of the tunnel, the first thing I noticed was the overwhelming brilliance of the light surrounding me. It wasn't harsh or blinding. Instead, it felt alive, soft and embracing, as if every particle shimmered with love itself. The air was filled with a peace so deep, I felt my soul settle into it like a weary traveler finding rest after a long journey. Then, through the radiance, I saw a figure approaching. His presence was unlike anything I had ever known. There was no fear, only recognition, as if I had known him all my life. He was clothed in simple white, yet he glowed with a golden light that seemed to come from within. His eyes, I will never forget those eyes. They held the depth of the universe, compassion, understanding, and a love so pure it brought me to tears. He spoke, not with words, but with thoughts that echoed directly into my heart. Every question I had ever asked, every longing, every pain, he knew them all. He looked at me, not as a stranger, but as someone deeply, intimately loved. I felt him reach out, and it was like being wrapped in the warmest embrace I had ever known. Imagine standing in the freezing cold and suddenly being pulled into a blanket of sunlight and safety. That was what it felt like. Absolute acceptance, absolute love. He showed me my life, not to judge me, but to help me understand how every action, every word of kindness, every moment of anger, every act of forgiveness had ripples I could never have imagined. He reminded me that nothing in life is wasted, that even the smallest gesture of love is seen and cherished in eternity. I knew, without him speaking, that this was Jesus, the Jesus I'd heard about as a child, but now, more real and alive than I had ever believed possible. And in that moment, everything changed. As I stood in the presence of Jesus, time seemed to dissolve. Every fear, every doubt, every earthly concern melted away under the weight of his love. But then, something shifted in his expression. A gentle seriousness came over him, as if he was preparing me for something vitally important. He looked into my eyes, and I felt a deep, urgent message pour into my soul. I saw images, visions, and waves of knowing that were more real than any words could ever be. He showed me a coming darkness, 3 days when the world would be plunged into a shadow deeper than any night. It wasn't just a physical darkness, but a spiritual one, a time when humanity would be tested like never before. He didn't show me these things to frighten me, but to prepare me. His voice echoed in my heart. Emily, there are 3 signs before the darkness falls. These are gifts of mercy, warnings given so people can prepare, turn back to love, and seek the truth before it's too late. I felt the weight of this message, how urgent, how sacred it was. The love in his eyes never faded, but I could sense his deep sorrow for those who would ignore the signs, and his fierce hope that many would choose light instead. Then, with infinite gentleness, he began to reveal the first of these 3 signs. In that place beyond time, Jesus lifted his hand, and suddenly I saw visions unfolding before me. It was as if I was watching the earth from above, but every detail was clear and alive. I saw cities bustling with life, people moving through their daily routines, unaware that something monumental was about to happen. Then, a wave of unease spread across the world. The sun shone, but its warmth was gone. Animals grew restless, birds fell silent, and even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Across continents, a sense of anxiety and confusion crept into people's hearts. News reports filled with strange phenomena, blood-red skies, unexplainable noises, a heaviness in the air that no one could explain. Science offered theories, but no answers. I saw leaders trying to calm the masses, but their words felt empty. Everywhere, people began to search for meaning. Some clung to old habits, some mocked the idea of warnings, while others felt something deep inside urging them to prepare, to return to what truly matters. Jesus spoke again, and his words resonated in my spirit. This is the first sign. The world will be warned. Creation itself will speak, and every soul will sense that a change is coming. This is a time for reflection, repentance, and turning back to love. Those who listen will find peace in the storm, but those who ignore the signs will be swept away by fear. In the vision, I saw families coming together to pray, neighbors reaching out to help one another, strangers comforting the brokenhearted. I saw a flicker of hope, the beginning of a spiritual awakening, but alongside it, I also saw hearts growing cold, anger and confusion spreading, and people choosing to turn away from the light. When the vision faded, Jesus looked at me with profound sadness and hope combined. He wanted everyone to know this first sign was a gift, an invitation. It was not too late yet. The next vision unfolded before my eyes, clearer and more urgent than the first. Jesus' presence was like a steady anchor in the midst of what I was about to witness. He showed me a world in turmoil, not just on the outside, but deep within the hearts of people everywhere. I saw friends and families divided, sometimes by the smallest differences: beliefs, fears, anger, and pride. There were heated arguments, broken relationships, and tears. But there was something deeper happening, something invisible but unmistakable. A line was being drawn, not by human hands, but by the state of each soul. It was as if the very spirit of the world was being sifted, separating those who hungered for truth and light from those who stubbornly clung to the darkness. During this time, trials multiplied. I saw people facing intense personal struggles: illness, loss, financial hardship, betrayal. For some, these hardships crushed their spirits, filling them with resentment and despair. But for others, these same trials became a refining fire. I saw ordinary men and women discovering extraordinary strength. They knelt in prayer, reached out to forgive, and found hope in places they never imagined. Jesus' voice echoed in my heart. This is the second sign. There will be a great separation. The true intentions of every heart will be revealed through trials and suffering. Some will choose faith, humility, and forgiveness. Others will become hardened, rejecting the light and turning against those who still believe. The world will seem to split in two. But this is not a punishment. It is a necessary purification, a final chance for each soul to choose. I saw churches filled with humble worshipers, their voices rising in songs of hope despite the chaos outside. But I also saw churches emptying, leaders who once spoke of faith turning away in fear or pride. I saw both miracles and betrayals, love shining brighter than ever in some places and vanishing altogether in others. As the vision ended, I realized that this separation was happening everywhere, between nations, communities, families, and even within each heart. It was a painful, beautiful, terrifying process, but it was guided by love, a love that longs for every lost soul to come home. Jesus' gaze became even more compassionate, but there was an unmistakable gravity in his presence. The visions grew even more intense, and I felt every emotion as if it were my own: hope, sorrow, longing. He showed me the world once more, but this time a deep stillness settled over everything. It was as if all creation was holding its breath, waiting. I saw the skies darken, not the final darkness yet, but a spiritual shadow, like the last twilight before night. All distractions faded. The noise of the world, the endless rush, the arguments, the mindless entertainment grew silent. It was as if every heart could hear the same question echoing in the stillness: "Are you ready?" Then I saw something remarkable. Across the globe, people who had resisted every sign, who had ignored every warning, began to feel a tug at their hearts. Some woke in the middle of the night, weeping without understanding why. Others were moved to sudden acts of kindness or forgiveness they never thought possible. There were confessions, reconciliations, and last-minute prayers. Even the hardest of hearts were given one more chance to turn back to love. Jesus' voice was gentle, but full of urgency. This is the third sign, the last call of mercy. Before the 3 days of darkness, every soul will receive a personal invitation, a final opportunity to choose light over darkness, humility over pride, love over hate. In that moment, my mercy will reach even the farthest heart. No one will be able to say they were not called. Some responded with tears and repentance, surrendering their pain and fear to Him. Others closed their hearts tighter, refusing the outstretched hand of grace. The entire world stood at a crossroads, the weight of eternity pressing upon every soul. In this vision, I saw angels moving among the people, quiet, unseen, but guiding, comforting, and urging souls to choose the light. It was a moment of immense hope, but also of heartbreaking loss for those who turned away. When the vision ended, Jesus looked at me, and I understood. This was the greatest act of love. Mercy offered until the very last breath, a door left open until the final second, and then the darkness would fall. Suddenly, the visions faded, and I was once again surrounded by that living light and the presence of Jesus. My heart was full, overwhelmed by everything I had seen, but also at peace. I felt an ache to stay, to remain in that perfect love. but I knew deep within that my journey was not yet finished. Jesus looked at me with eyes that seemed to hold both eternity and my entire story. He spoke one final message to my heart. Emily, you must return. Share what you have seen. Tell them that my love is real, that my warnings are true, and that it is never too late to turn back to me. You have been given this vision so that many will awaken before the darkness comes. There was no fear, only a profound sense of purpose and a longing to carry this light back to the world. In a moment that felt both instant and eternal, I felt myself being pulled away, falling backwards through the tunnel, through the layers of memory, through the boundaries of space and time. I opened my eyes to the harsh, cold lights of the emergency room. The voices of doctors and nurses echoed around me. My body ached. Every breath was a struggle, but I was alive. Tears streamed down my face, not from pain, but from gratitude and awe. For days after, I barely spoke of what had happened. The memories were so vivid, so sacred, I needed time to process them. But something had changed in me forever. I could not see the world the same way. Every face became precious, every moment a gift, every hardship a hidden invitation to love deeper and live more fully. The impact of the experience grew with each passing day. People noticed a change in me. More patience, more compassion, an unexplainable peace, even in the midst of chaos. I realized that I was not just given a vision for myself, but for everyone. A mission had been placed in my hands. That's why I am sharing this with you now. Not as a story to entertain, but as a message to awaken your soul. If you've listened this far, I believe it's not by accident. What I experienced wasn't just for me. It's for anyone who has ever wondered if there is more to this life, if hope can survive even in the darkest hour, and if love truly does conquer all. The warnings Jesus gave me weren't threats, but gifts. They are acts of mercy, calling us back before it's too late. The 3 signs before the days of darkness are still ahead. There is time, right now, to prepare your heart, to let go of resentment, to seek forgiveness, and to choose faith, even when the world feels hopeless. The days ahead may be hard. Trials will come, and the world may grow darker before the dawn. But I am living proof that love is stronger than fear, that no one is ever truly lost, and that every soul is precious in the eyes of God. Jesus didn't just show me the coming darkness. He showed me that, no matter how deep the night, His light will always find a way in. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. All you need is the willingness to open your heart to His call. Even the smallest step towards faith can change everything. So I invite you, take these warnings seriously. Reflect, pray, and turn your heart toward the one who loves you beyond anything you can imagine. Share this message not out of fear, but out of hope, so that others may be awakened, prepared, and comforted. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts or questions, and share it so more people can be blessed. We are not alone, and the light is stronger than the darkness. The harvest is coming, and time is short. May you find peace, courage, and hope, no matter what comes.